Hey Dan, newbie here. Why do you think most new people quit when embarking on lead gen venture? To be honest with you, I think there's a few different reasons. Number one, they've never been an entrepreneur, so they don't actually know what it costs to run a real business. So you get in there, let's just say for the sake of this, you don't outsource anything, you do it yourself. So now we got time wrapped up, okay? So your time's wrapped up and building this lead gen property. And remember, lead gen properties, it's a labor of love. That's why I want the momentum moving with you guys of continuing to get more out each month instead of I'm going to put one out and then I'm going to sit and I'm not going to do anything. No, I want them to keep going. Now, we're people that haven't been entrepreneurs, that haven't actually had real businesses and expenses and payroll and rent roll and all the different stuff that comes along with being an entrepreneur owning a business or equipment or what have you. You know, you put out a bunch of time. And then it takes, let's just say, several weeks, maybe even 2 months for this thing to start ranking and getting leads. I'm just giving different scenarios here. And then you get into a situation where you go into a marketplace, and let's just say the business owners in the marketplace are arrogant, they're cocky, they're not hungry, or whatever the case is. And you got now a couple months and you were banking on income coming in, you know, because you were excited when you got started. And it hasn't moved quick enough. What I see a lot is, first, you start analyzing how much time you got into this sucker. You're like, man, I got weeks, if not a month or two into this thing, and I haven't seen $1 back. Right there, most people that aren't entrepreneurs, that don't understand business, throw in the towel because they can't fathom that you could spend time and not make money. Well, I got news for those people. You go look at these brick and mortars, the people that you're selling to, and oftentimes they ain't breaking even for 2 to 3 years. Okay, they throw their life, they're in massive debt. You know, they got crazy stresses, they got employees, they got mouths to feed, they got equipment that could get repoed, they got buildings that they signed 30-year leases. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And they're not positive to year 2 or 3. So someone that has never been an entrepreneur before, which is fine, right? That's why we do these calls. That's why you're talking. I at least hopefully can give you some insight on this stuff. We're so weak-minded that we think 2 months, 60 days in the whole scope of your life is this massive amount of time, because we're such a whore for money right now because we've made shitty, fucked up decisions our entire financial life. From the time we were 18, 17, 16, whatever, when we started working, we've made shitty decisions. And so we continue that pattern. That's what happens. You just continue the pattern of shitty decisions. And you're like, oh man, shit, 60 days in and this one didn't hit. Man, I'm only going to do one because I just want to put my toe in the water. You know, instead of going back and, like we talked about with these business owners, of reselling yourself on the vision of what if I owned 50? What if I owned 100 of these things? Okay, what does my life look like if only 50% are occupied, but I got 100 of them? I'm in the Century Club, right? Which is going to be a real thing coming out. There's something new for you, Gary. Century Club. I talked about it at the start of this last month. Okay, but that's to me. Why? You got to go back and resell yourself, just like you got to resell the business owner who has a shitty month and they're short-sighted too. And they're struggling for cash flow at this point. So they cut the wrong thing because they don't have a long-term contract with you, but they got one for their leases, you know, and their payroll taxes or whatever, right? That's one of the major things. So I think guts is the other thing. Is, man, we don't have enough guts on the internet. Okay? We just don't. Not enough guts, man. And that comes through to the business owners that you're trying to sell to. They got a lot of guts to do what they've done, to put themselves in business, to take on those risks, to sign a lease, right? To hire employees. That takes guts to go into crazy debt. You can't tell me, even from the cost of education to get into this group, and then the cost of what it costs to build up these lead gen sites, that we're taking all that much of a financial risk. I know for some of us it feels like a lot, and that oftentimes is the issue, is we're not taking this and we're not looking through the right lens of how we should be looking at as an entrepreneur and a business owner now, right? We don't understand that, hey, spending money on more lead gen properties or outsourcing certain things, right, is not an expense. Like going to the club or buying a new depreciating asset. This is something that is going to make me money. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And that's all also mental up here. So I think those would probably be the two things I would pass along of why I see people quit and give up. I think the last thing too is, and I've said this before, is look, it's happened to me and it happens to me to this day. You could do all the due diligence in the world. Okay. You could think you're in the perfect niche, the low hanging fruit, like all the boxes check, okay? All the boxes check. and you could get into that niche and it could happen to be a dud. It could happen to be, it was tougher. You didn't see something. Let me show you something, guys. Every day there's McDonald's, Subways, 7-Elevens that are closing their doors in certain markets that bought the wrong building on the wrong corner, and the drive-by traffic was enough, or something happened, and they're going, this one's not working. Okay, way bigger capital outlay than anything we're doing, but this happens on a big scale all the way down to a little scale. And I think for a lot of us, if you bought your first McDonald's and you're like, man, I'm gonna make it now, okay, and that one financially didn't perform, it would be disheartening. It could take you out, right? It could completely wipe you out at the knees as far as financially, if you're not in the right situation to be buying one, which is why they won't let people buy a McDonald's unless you have at least $1 million net worth. I believe that's the number right now. It might be $2 million, because they're like, we're not messing around with people that don't have the ability to weather a storm, because storms happen. Storms happen in this business too. There's niches, there's lead gen properties that we're gonna put up, that I'm gonna put up right now, that don't perfectly work out. It was a dud. It didn't work as good as I thought. It underperformed. Dude, cut your losses. You just didn't put out $2 million. You maybe put out some time, or $299 to outsource it to Donnie Leads. It's not the end of the world. You got to think bigger than that. You got to understand that there's going to be hard times coming at you in any business. Doesn't matter what it is. A new competitor can jump in and knock your socks off, right? We don't know what it is. But what we do know is consistency, right? The consistency of continuing to do these things, continuing to put these assets out there, okay? And the more that you do, you're going to have a lot of winners too. But you got to get past, especially if your first one's a dud, you got to get that mental game strong enough to move past it and keep moving. You got to look at all the proof, go resell yourself, go watch those videos again, go watch the daily updates in this group of people killing it, that have stuck it out, that have stayed consistent with it, and get remotivated again, re-inspired. And again, that's why I do these calls every Tuesday and Thursday, and I'll stay on here for, I don't even know how long I've been on. I think I've been on for an hour and a half, and pump you guys as much as I can so you guys don't lose the vision and just go back to your prison that you've been sold your whole life that you need to go and do. Screw that thing. Who wants to get up at 8 tomorrow and go to a job? I don't. Okay, so we got to keep inspiring and pumping each other up, and then keep focused on the positive, keep focused on the winners that are out there, and keep sold on the vision. Okay.